Hello everyone, how's it going? It is Tierner as always, and I'm here to bring you another top whatever list. This time it is the top 9 zones in World of Warcraft. Now these will be mainly judged according to storyline and atmosphere, I suppose. And this list is, as always, just my personal opinion, what I like best according to this particular criteria that I set up. So yeah, without further ado, here we go. Number 9 on my list is Westfall after the Cataclysm revamp, although I admit I loved Westfall in vanilla as well. The reason I like it so is mostly because of its storyline and quests in Cataclysm, where you, the player, are dealing with a murder mystery, which eventually leads up to the Defias Brotherhood being reborn. I like the idea that the war against the Lich King drained Stormwind economically, resulting in Westfall being filled with vagrants. I like Vanessa Van Cleef and her character, and again, I love the murder mystery plot and the stupid jokes told by Horatio Lane. I also liked some of the subtle bits regarding the Defias plot you found throughout the questline. For instance, when you get to Moonbrook and you search through newspapers and flyers for information, one of them talks about a witness regarding the murder who names you, the player character, as the murderer, instead of the actual killer. Two other moments that I loved were when you followed the shaman's vision and saw that Edwin Van Cleef had a daughter, and of course the finale where all the pieces are put together in a great manner and the Defias Brotherhood is reborn. Number 8 on my list is the Swamp of Sorrows after the Cataclysm revamp. I like several things about the Swamp of Sorrows. Firstly, I like the first quest once you get there, where you try to gain the favor of Trade Baron Silversnap for your faction, and of course the various goblin shenanigans that ensue. Secondly, I love how part of the zone's storyline is a huge homage to the RTS games, with the battle between the Horde and the Alliance mimicking in a way the various units in the RTS games. And also, this is the Swamp of Sorrows. It is the first place taken over by the Horde when they came to Azeroth. If any zone were to have these little homages, this would be it. Thirdly, there's two quest chains, one for Alliance and one for the Horde, which take place at the Harborage and at Splinter Spear Junction respectively, but both sort of followed the same story. For the Horde one, you hope a female orc scout get medicine for her dying mate and ease his passing. For the Alliance, you help an uncorrupted Draenei who came to the Harborage in order to try and help the broken and the lost ones of the swamp, who tries to desperately cure his broken friend. In both cases you fail to save the victim, but for the Alliance, Prophet Velen himself appears and blesses the dying broken, welcoming him back to the light despite the fact that he is, well, a broken. Velen then offers some words of wisdom to the Draenei before leaving. I do wish, in a way, that the Horde had a similarly satisfying ending to their quest chain. I did the Horde quest first in the Swamp of Sorrows and felt really bummed out and a bit depressed when I was done. But the Alliance ending, while short, is still great nonetheless. Number 7 on my list is Mount Hyjal. As someone who has played the game since before Cataclysm, I always wanted to see this zone and Nordrassil in game. Don't get me wrong, the Caverns of Time raid was cool, but I wanted to see it in present time and see what's up with Nordrassil now and so on and so forth. So for a huge lore person like me, Mount Hyjal as a zone is a big nerdgasm moment, so to say. There's the Ancients that you help wake up, there's Ragnaros' Fire Elementals and the Twilight's Hammer, and there's just a lot of little storylines that make me happy. I also like the more light-hearted parts of Hyjal, namely helping Myloon the Dryad save the wee animals of Hyjal, and the Goldrun quest line where you fool an ogre clan affiliated with the Twilight's Hammer into just packing up and leaving, basically, and of course when you stir unrest between the ogres and non-ogres of the Twilight's Hammer with your graduation speech. Hyjal's storyline is great in my opinion, and it has just the right mix of serious and silly, I think. Number 6 on my list is Dragonblight. I love the storylines of Dragonblight back in Wrath, pretty much all of them actually. You have the Tonka and the Tuskar who have been displaced by the Scourge or by the Kvoldir and who are trying their best to survive. You have the Blue Dragonflight and the Wormrest storyline, which I found to be very interesting and very cool. The Forsaken and the Scarlet Onslaught, and of course you have the efforts of the Alliance and Horde against the Lich King, which culminate in the Wrathgate and in the battle for the Undercity, which are still some of my favorite events in all of Warcraft. This zone, despite the fact that it is a gigantic wasteland filled with dragon corpses, still has a lot going on with it, funnily enough. I love both the Alliance and Horde versions of the zone, with the Alliance dealing with Naxxramas' attack and the betrayal of Father Montoy back in Vanilla, and the Horde, specifically the Forsaken, who fight with the Scarlet Onslaught. Really, there's just way too many things that I like regarding this zone to list them all. Almost every quest chain has several enjoyable things, and Dragonblight is still awesome today, despite the fact that they removed the battle for the Undercity from the game. Number 5 on my list is Storm Peaks. Like most of the zones in Northrend, Storm Peaks has a great atmosphere. In fact, it's kind of renowned for how great an atmosphere and background music it has. I also love the storylines of the zone, of which obviously the Sons of Hodir, Forum and Loken storyline is the most important, and I would say the best. There's plenty of interesting stuff in Storm Peaks. There's the Titan stuff, obviously, the Goblins of K3, and the storylines of the Horde and the Alliance have in the zone. Specifically, I love how Alliance players get to see Myrddin Bronzebeard again and help him recover his memory, and I find it funny how, and kind of awesome how he managed to become the leader of the Frostborn Dwarves during his amnesia. For the Horde, I mostly like the Zarantor the Witness storyline. Zarantor is a Tauren who is over 10,000 years old, who is tasked by the Bronze Dragonflight with recording history, and you help him restore the tale of an ancient Tonka chieftain who battled the spirit of the North Wind. And did I mention Titan stuff? Because Storm Peaks is full of it. And Bran Bronzebeard. So yeah, an awesome zone. Number 4 on my list is the Twilight Highlands. I love the storyline of this zone, and I love its atmosphere and how it's not just dark, but also very twisted. I love dealing with the Twilight's Hammer and the various things under their control or summoned by them in this zone, but what I liked most of all was the Horde side of the zone. On the Horde side, you crash land in the Highlands of Garrosh after you take a bit of time to attack the Alliance and are ambushed by the Twilight Dragonflight. You then secure the allegiance of the Dragonmaw clan by helping them revolt against their Fairlord leader. I liked how Overlord Morgor managed to escape Illidan and took over the Dragonmaw clan, renewing his pact with the Black Dragonflight in the process. But most of all, I love the Dragonmaw clan in this zone and how, frankly, incredibly badass they are. Just look at Bloodgulch near the middle of the zone. It's decorated with black dragon corpses, and they even enslave black dragons too. And I love Warlord Zayla as well. As for the Alliance, I will admit that I haven't had the chance to do the zone from their perspective, but what I heard and read makes it seem awesome as well. But the Dragonmaw clan will always have a place in my heart specifically because of this zone. Number 3 on my list is Oldham. I've talked before on how much I like the Tol'vir and their society in Oldham. I also really like their storyline. I also really love the other storyline of the zone, which is basically an Indiana Jones homage. This zone is just great. The music and atmosphere is also awesome, and both them and the storyline manage to convey this sort of ancient Egyptian feel, if that makes sense, and I am a big history fan. I would say that questing through Oldham was one of the most fun I've had during Cataclysm, and I would recommend it to anyone. Number 2 on my list is Zul'drak. Like I've mentioned many times before, I love the trolls. In regards to Zul'drak, I love the storyline there with the Scourge attacking this ancient empire, and the Ice Trolls seeing no other solution than to sacrifice their own gods in order to survive. I love both parts of the zone. The first part, in the conquered Scourge territory with Drakuru as the villain, was great in that sense. I loved how they brought back this seemingly random troll from Grizzly Hills, revealed him to be an agent of the Lich King in Drakfaron Keep, and continued his storyline as leader of the Scourge in Zul'drak. And he even references you if you saved him or interacted with him before while in Zul'drak. I also loved how the Scourge picked you, specifically you, the player character, out, and again Drakuru's interactions with you and how they change if you've done his questline in Grizzly Hills. Basically changing from, I saw how powerful you were when you were killing my Scourge, I want you now, to, hey, my Grizzly Hills buddy, we're gonna be best friends forever now, man, if you helped him. I also love the second part of the zone where you help the Zandalari with the Drakari trolls. While at first the Zandalari are just on a mission to chronicle the demise of this ancient empire, you are then pulled into the plot of saving the gods of Zul'drak. Every god has a bit of a different fate, with some, such as Seratus, already having been sacrificed. Mamtoth, the Mammoth god, blew himself up rather than be sacrificed. Or Quetzalcoatl, who cursed her former worshippers into eternal torment in the afterlife. And of course, Harkoa, the god with which you quest. I also love the little flavor you get when giving offerings to the statues of the troll gods, from the more or less benevolent Zimtorga to the more not so benevolent Zimruk, who forces an image into your mind of you being squashed whenever you come to make an offering to her altar. The kind of apocalyptic atmosphere and sinister but still troll-like music also adds a wonderful extra touch to the zone. And I find it amusing in a way that each god also has their own music, which is basically the same tone, but with their respective name being chanted. Now, I absolutely love Zul'drak. However, while making this list, I initially put it at number 1. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that I love the actual number 1 more. Although it is still a very close race. Even as I'm recording this now, I'm not entirely sure if I like Zul'drak or number 1 better. But before we get to number 1, here's the honorable mention. The honorable mention on my list is Plaguelands, the Scarlet Enclave, or the Death Knight starting zone. This honestly would have been my number 1 above Zul'drak and the actual number 1, but I'm not entirely sure if this qualifies as a zone since it's just an instance version of another zone. I absolutely loved the Death Knight's experience. The story was incredible, the atmosphere and the music were great, and for its time at the very least the quests were awesome. I absolutely love slaughtering more or less innocent Scarlet Crusaders as a grim Death Knight of the Lich King. There were also a lot of subtle bits and attention to detail throughout the experience. For instance, several books and accuracy change as you go through the zone, even if you'd have absolutely no reason to go back to the necropolis while they do. I admit that during Wrath I made around 7 or 8 Death Knights, which I never got beyond level 59 just because I loved the starting experience so much and wanted to experience it again and again. I really can't overstate how much I like this zone or pseudo-zone or whatever you want to call it. And number 1 is...
Long have my people suffered the curse of Seethe. Long have we sought a cure. Sorceries, rituals, and rites. Unspeakable acts of darkness and desperation. All for naught. We found refuge in the shadows, yes, but also shame. We lost our way. I led my people astray. You would have been fair to shun them as others do. And yet, you showed them kindness. Curious. You gave them strength. Though the curse may forever weigh upon their bones, I see them standing tall and proud. You have succeeded where I failed. You have set my people free. Truly, you are their Talon King.
Number 1 on my list is Spires of Arak. I absolutely love the Arakoa storyline in this zone, along with the Shattered Hand tie-ins which never felt out of place. The atmosphere and music of this zone is probably the best and most fitting out of any other zone on my list, at the very least. I absolutely love the storyline of the Arakoa outcasts and their plight, our interaction with Terok, his story and how he was betrayed, the Arakoa mythology with the three gods, the sun goddess and mother Rukmar, the mysterious Anzu and the evil Sieve. Most of all, I absolutely loved with all my heart all the tie-ins the zone had with the Burning Crusade Arakoa. They pretty much explained everything, tied almost every loose end, and put their actions in Burning Crusade in an entirely new light, while still leaving a little room for interpretation and what-if scenarios, especially regarding Anzu. It does not have a cinematic like most other zones of Draenor, but it does have an ending, which I showcased in the intro. And I was initially a bit disappointed that it did not have an actual cinematic, but the more I think about it, I'm not sure if it needs it. The cinematics of Warlords of Draenor have all been very epic, very action-oriented for the most part, and Spires of Arak, while it has plenty of violence, is not exactly known for its action, but for its subtlety and for its great storyline. I will honestly say that this zone for me was worth Warlords of Draenor. I have willingly endured this mediocre expansion because I got to experience the absolute wonder that is Spires of Arak and the Arakoa. And I honestly think that my World of Warcraft experience would be less complete without Warlords of Draenor and Spires of Arak. And this brings us to the end of another top whatever list. Leave your any thoughts in the comments below, and I would also really like to hear what your favorite zones are. There are plenty of other zones which I like, even love, which did not make the list, and I expect to see several of them in the comments if you would be so willing. Other than that, shadows gather when the raven swallows the day.